A loophole in Kentucky law allowed officers who committed sex crimes to keep policing.
Sexual assaults are some of the hardest to prosecute and to investigate. And so oftentimes things that your viewers may see as pretty heinous sexual assault crimes get pled down to or even just charged as misdemeanors. And a misdemeanor conviction doesn't preclude someone from becoming a police officer in the state.
Lawmakers aim to close that hole with House Bill 206. It took effect last month, requiring the Kentucky Law Enforcement Council to decertify officers who have misdemeanor sex crimes on their record. Without certification, they can't be hired as an officer.
But WDRB Investigates found out there's still a gap. What to do with misdemeanor sex crimes that got expunged, leaving no criminal record, and a question about whether those officers should be decertified.
Todd Walls is a Jefferson County Sheriff's deputy who falls in that gap. In part 2 of our series, we asked the Sheriff's Office why he was hired.
He's done an excellent job with no problems.
The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office hired Todd Walls in September 2020. The latest stop in an embattled policing career. Walls was charged with rape and other sex crimes for a relationship with a 15-year-old girl in 1996.
I feel like my silence has allowed him to feel entitled to keep a position in law enforcement.
That victim recently spoke to WDRB.
He took advantage of me. He committed crimes against a child.
Walls pleaded the case down to a single misdemeanor sexual misconduct conviction and later got the court record expunged, according to his attorney. But troubles followed. Employment documents show in the years since he was terminated by both Taylorsville and West Mutual Police. We also learned through court records the state of Kentucky voided his retirement and ordered him to repay thousands in benefits.
He is exposed to losing a great deal more than simply the income.
That was due to allegations of a prior agreement to retire and return to his position in West Mutual, which would have violated a state policy. But the city ultimately fired him.
Should this department have hired Todd Walls?
Carl Yates is the second highest ranking officer in the sheriff's office.
It's a decision to be made. Sometimes you make the right one, sometimes you make the wrong one. I don't know that we made the wrong one or the right one in this case.
He says the agency's background investigation found no evidence of a prior child sex crime against Walls.
We asked legal counsel and we were told that it means it never happened. When records are expunged, it means it never happened.
How can you erase history, though? You can erase a criminal record. You can say the criminal record of the court proceedings are gone.
Mm-hmm.
But
and all documentation.
A physical act happened, right? You can't erase history.
It means the records don't exist. So in a way, you are erasing history.
Expungement is the legal process where an arrest, charge, or conviction are completely removed from someone's criminal record. It does not require any private citizen who ever had a copy of the records to delete them.
The sheer ridiculousness of the fact that someone could commit crimes like that and remain in law enforcement for years is something I don't think I'll ever get over. I could not even imagine that.
Dr. David Raper says he has several copies of Todd Walls' Crimes Against Children file.
Dr. David Raper, who is the constituent who brought this bill to myself.
Lawmakers thanked him by name at a bill signing ceremony.
He's been a real advocate for this for several years.
Raper, Walls' former neighbor, wrote to every member of the legislature laying out the loophole that misdemeanor sex crimes didn't require the state to take an officer's license.
Do you think it's a good idea to hire a child sexual offender to be a cop or to allow them to continue to be a cop? Do you think that's a good idea?
More so, that something needed to be done to stop the system from looking the other way or allowing a slap on the wrist when an officer breaks the law.
Did you know that Todd Walls had been charged with a sex crime in the 90s?
We knew there were allegations of that, yes.
Raper also shared the file with WDRB. We authenticated it with one of the original investigators on the case, including this transcript of a phone call recorded by police of Walls and the young girl talking about their sex life. When the sheriff found out we had it, he took Walls' gun and badge and placed him on desk duty.
And it all result of what you brought to light, and we're appreciative of that.
Do you still think that that background check was extensive?
I think the one area that we could have gone farther would be the archives.
Yates says the sheriff's office sent a background request to LMPD and it came back with nothing of note on Walls. But Walls never worked for this agency. He worked for the old city police department prior to the Louisville-Jefferson County merger. The graphic, detailed CACU report was sitting in those old city police archives.
Didn't your agency have the due diligence to go beyond a records request? To pick up the phone, to do some police work here?
I think we did our police work, Bill. And so I think we did the best we could at the time. You know, especially operating under the confinements of the Kentucky Clean Slate Law. You had to walk a tightrope between stepping on people's rights. Even police officers actually have rights.
This man was accused of raping a child. Didn't your agency have the responsibility to find the full truth?
I think we tried to do that. You got some information we didn't get. Let's just give you credit for that and not criticize us, okay?
Walls is on a year-to-year contract with Jefferson County. The sheriff's office says it's up in September.
The sheriff will decide if it's going to be renewed or not, but it certainly is in jeopardy right now.
If you have information about this story or any story you think our Investigates team should look into, you can email us at investigate@WDRB.com or call 502-322-1297. Gilbert Coursey, WDRB News.